Arguably, the biggest objection with building a business whilst being a full-time employee is the lack of time resources, right? And so in this video, I want to overview my own journey to scaling not one, not two, but three agencies to six figures and beyond. And that was before I actually quit my full-time job. And to pose that actually this is not a matter of time, but rather a matter of prioritization, values, focus, and also the tactics, the approach that I embraced in order to actually pull this off. And I'll preface this by saying that this is not the first time I tried to do this. I've tried to do this in the past. I've had side hustles before. I have built side hustles and made money with them in the past, but this is the first time I was able to actually free myself from a job and get to a point where I know for a fact that I'm never going to need to be in a job ever again for the rest of my life, which is a very liberating feeling to achieve. And so the first point to start to dive into is that there's no question about it that hard work is involved. There's no questions on that. You will have to grind somewhere. You will have to put some time in. And so when people complain that there's no time to build a business, what they fail to realize is that if they're working a job, then obviously that's 8 hours a day. It's only 5 days a week. Normalize working in the weekends. Normalize working in the evenings. The problem with that is that they look around themselves and their peers ain't doing that. Their peers are enjoying their evenings, their weekends, but they somehow want to have the cake and eat it too. And I'm not going to say much more about this because that's something that you're probably not going to want to do. You're probably not going to want to quit those things. And so the next smart thing that you can do is to basically build your business during your work. And I know I'm going to upset a bunch of business owners, and I should probably not say that since I wouldn't want my employees to be doing that as well. But hear me out. What I mean by that is what you can do is you can transition into a job where you're just required, for the time being at least, to sit around and not do much. And if that's the case, if you can coast along, then just build it in. If you want to be honest and true to yourself and you don't want to be messing about, then save a bit of runway and make sure that you can actually quit your job when you actually start working harder for your business. But until you do that, and a really smart move, another thing that you can do is you can basically partner up with someone else. You partner up with someone else and you share the time and the resources and the effort. And in the sense that one of you can do the sales and the marketing, the other one can do the fulfillment and execution. And it will help. It will help not just because of the amount of time that you guys are freeing and making available between the two of you, but also because you are now basically holding each other responsible and accountable, and you're hopefully hanging out together and having a good time at it, and you're not going to feel the need to be out and hang out and do all the other things that people normally do when they're not in school or when they're not at work, right? And so partnerships are definitely a crucial one. My partner and I definitely can attest to that. We scaled this company while I was in full-time employment and he was still in school, go figure. And it's been so fun that it could literally not even register on either of our radars when we first started out doing it this way. The other thing you want to bear in mind is that you want to leverage the experience that you already possess. So hopefully you're working in a field that's somewhat correlated to the business that you want to actually build and scale. And hopefully that's some marketing related, sales, marketed operations field. My last job was actually in a marketing agency, the biggest agency in the world. And I can definitely confirm that there was a lot of transferable skills and things that I took from that business, from that company. Ultimately, the reason why I ended up working in marketing agencies was because I knew that I wanted to have my own SMMA and I wanted to learn from other people's operations. I wanted to get paid, to get earned, and to get learned, and I did just that. This is not necessary, but it can certainly help. And now let's go back to time management. When it comes to time management, when it comes to working weekends, when it comes to working evenings, just know that you don't need passion, you need discipline. And discipline is a word that gets thrown around a lot. It's for practical purposes. You can start as simple as not using a damn list. Don't use a to-do list, use a calendar. Know your schedule inside out. If you're working 9 to 5 and you get home at 6 or at 7 and you know that you've got to gym, well, then know that you're going to hit the gym. Maybe if you do it at 7, then know that you're going to have 2 hours allocated to that. Unfortunately, that's not going to give you much more time to grind. It's not going to give you much more time to build. So maybe sacrifice gym for a bit. Sacrifice gym for 3 months until you get a bit of that escape velocity. Because the truth of the matter is that this is not going to be permanent, and there are different seasons of growth. When you first launch, you may need to have a bit more undivided focus and attention. Another hack you can use there is take your holiday and actually work. You have 8 or 10 national holidays, and then you have your 20 days of paid leave, right? And if you're in the UK, 25. If you're in the US, God knows, I hope you get some. And then you have your weekends, couple them together, hack the whole thing. The way people do it to maximize their holiday time so they can go out on travels and whatnot, you do it so you can work, so you can sit down and work. Christmas is coming, and that's going to be the perfect time to build, to sit down and to actually like start building and creating stuff. A lot of the things that you think take time, they actually don't take that much time. So if you start planning them in your calendar, in your scheduler, just allocate time to them. If you think it's going to take 4 hours, then make it so that it will last 2 hours. Force yourself to execute it quicker so that you cut through the bullshit and you focus on being productive and not perfectionist, because something is better than nothing and well done is better than well said. And don't get bogged down in things like needing a website, needing a logo, needing a niche. You don't need a niche, you need a system. You don't need a logo, you need leads. You don't need a website, you need booked appointments. Those are the things that really matter. When I started my company, I had created a system where I knew that I wanted to produce 3 reels every day. I wanted to make 5 ads every weekend, and I wanted to spend $50 a day on ads, right? And those were the inputs that I was measuring, and they were non-negotiable. No matter what, I was doing those things. And so focus on delivering value, focus on moving the dial, pushing the needle forward. Don't focus on perfection. My first clients were some referrals, and I had literally only focused on driving some value that they would quantify and deem as satisfactory. Not even me. According to my own standards, my work was not good enough. And I still put it out there, and I made sure that the clients were deriving value from them. One of the clients that I retained for the longest, a SaaS company, I could have sworn that I brought virtually no value to them, and yet they were very happy with the leads that we're getting, with the booked appointments that we're getting. Only subsequently, in hindsight, did I realize that the benchmark against which I was comparing my results and assessing them was very skewed, because I was looking at B2B leads, not having a clue about how much a B2B lead should cost and what's the lifetime value of that lead to a company, and I would think that it was too high. Go figure. Too high compared to what? To B2C leads, right? Silly. So don't jump to conclusions. Always have conversations with your client and figure out how happy they are. Make sure that doesn't bite you in the ass, that it doesn't end up backfiring, where you actually do your work, you apply yourself really, really well, but they think that it's not enough, and then you end up over-servicing and over-delivering. That's the other facet to this coin, the dark side of this, and you most certainly don't want to go there either, because that can absolutely destroy businesses. Cool. Now, that being said, accept that your first clients will likely be underpaid. I don't think I need to tell you that. You should even be working for free. Oftentimes, if you can make an irresistible offer, which is you work for free, they put the ad spend in, you put the time in, you meet in the middle, that's better than spending weeks trying to get clients that will pay you your 2K, 5K retainers, which is going to take you God knows how long, whilst you don't have leverage. No case studies, no testimonials, no experience, nothing. If you're going to run a pilot where you're going to pitch and sell someone on the idea, on the dream, you can absolutely do that, and you should do that. Just accept that you're probably going to need to cut your prices and costs for that to work. And so you can actually get your foot in the door and get going, because money loves speed. Keep things in motion. Motion creates emotion, and you got to be making strides towards this thing so you can actually pursue it. Okay, stop obsessing over results, obsess on relationships. Be aware that in the agency model, services can be highly commoditized, meaning they are no longer something special or unique that only you can offer. The only differentiator really is you, your personality, who you really are. And so if clients are not going to stay with you for the service that you can offer, because you're probably having competitors times a dozen, what will they stay for? They'll stay for you, for the relationship that you build with them. And so when I was working in an agency, I had basically endeavored to treat all of the clients as if they were my own, to be responsible and take responsibility in that business as if it was my own company. And the clients saw that. The clients saw that so much so that when I left that agency, 2-3 of them wanted to leave with me. I didn't take them with me, but later on one of them came back to me and we ended up having a very fruitful relationship. It was amazing, and that was solely built on the relationship that we had built together. Okay. One more point: clients don't always fire you if the results aren't there. They fire you when you don't communicate or show effort. So CSM, client success management, fundamentally is the job of selling your existing clients into your new methodologies, into your new practices, and into the vision, especially when results don't work. Sometimes results dwindle, seasonality can be at play, whatever can happen there. It's important for you to recognize that it's not always your fault, your responsibility. Well, it is your responsibility, but it's not always in your direct control. What's in your control is to communicate, to show up, to be proactive, to be solution oriented, to show effort, to show that you really care. And that is ultimately what saves you and takes you through the dry spells, through the quiet periods, through the quiet months. Remember, the clients don't fire you if the results aren't there. They fire you if they think that you basically don't give a shit about that. Okay. One final point: success isn't sexy, it's repetitive. 16-hour days were the norm. They were, sometimes still are now. That's something that you want to accept and embrace. And if you find it hard to, then know that it's not your fault. It just means you're looking at it through a incorrect paradigm that's not serving you. If you think that you have to brute force 16 hours into being, then forget it, because it's not going to happen. There's only so much willpower that you have. It's limited. The way to get to there is to basically love what you do and do what you love. And that's a topic for another video. But going through the emotions, going through the things that are required from a business, essentially recognize that business is not what you see on Instagram, the highlights and the champagne and the girls and the parties. It's the quiet, repetitive tasks that you do in the background and that you do better 1% every single day, so that you get competitive advantages and unfair edges over your competitors. And that's what you should be taking pride in. Okay? Because everyone wants hacks, but the reality is that 90% of your success will come from mundane consistency. And so show up, do the work, recognize that this is essentially what business and entrepreneurship is, and get excited. I'm rooting for you to your success.